AI voice notes sounds like one of those ideas you can build in 5 minutes, but once you actually start building a real native mobile app, things get complicated very quickly. Voices in general become a huge interface layer for all kinds of AI tools, but most tutorials I've seen pretty much stop at send this prompt to AI and get something back. So I wanted to take this a step further, because real apps need so much more. They need authentication, subscription, error monitoring, real API usage, and a lot more that just goes into building a native mobile app using Expo and React Native. And on top of that, you don't want to code all of that by hand. You want to use a modern agentic coding workflow using stuff like Codex or Claude Code. So in this video, I'm building an AI voice notes app with React Native and Expo using ElevenLabs for voice AI, Clerk for authentication, RevenueCat for subscriptions, and Sentry to make sure our app doesn't explode in production. In our app, users will be able to create an account, sign in. We're going to use the native UI components from Clerk that are new. And then in the app, we're going to build a little tab bar. All of this done with agentic coding. So we're not really writing much of the code, but I will give you exactly the plan how I approach these things. We're going to use different stages in a requirements file and kick off the agents doing one thing at a time and then reviewing the code. We'll have a nice list of nodes. We're going to have some dummy functionality. We'll be able to record our voice and then use that voice as a file, send it to ElevenLabs, get a transcription back, and also combine that then with additional AI functionality using, for example, OpenAI to extract tasks and get a summary of that voice notes. Finally, we're also going to limit 3 minutes for users and use RevenueCat's paywalls for the pro subscription in our application, and then make sure that everything is stable in production by including Sentry, using the new CLI, using AI tools like Sia from Sentry to fix bugs in our application, and just in general use a modern tool flow how I would develop my own applications today in 2026. A big thanks upfront to our 4 sponsors. Check them out. The links to ElevenLabs, Clerk, RevenueCat, and Sentry are below this video. By signing up, you will support me and we'll make sure that we got more videos like this on the channel. And if you want to see an example of the application we're about to build, check out the GitHub repository below this video. You'll probably end up with a slightly different result, but that's not a big problem because that's just how AI works. It's just not deterministic, but I'm pretty sure if you follow along this video, you will have your own AI voice notes up and running in about 2.5 hours. So before we dive into the video, just make sure you already give the video a like and stay subscribed for more videos on React Native, Expo, and building apps with AI in the future. And then let's dive into it. Alright, so let's start the fun, and we will kick off our project by using the CLI, because we're not all vibe coders and we can do a few CLI commands here and there, I guess. So let's go ahead. I like to use bun. For me, that's just the fastest way to do it. Bun create expo, currently using the template default SDK 55, probably SDK 56 is right around the corner or is already there, or you're living in the future, and then you might even have the SDK 60, I don't know. But for the moment, this is what I choose. So pick the one that's most up to date. I will then open up my Bootstrap project in Cursor. Now, if you're using Windsurf, if you're using VS Code, if you're using Open Code, if you're using I don't know what, I mostly don't care. The only thing that you really need is access to a decent coding AI agent. And where can I zoom into this? Am I zoomed in now 4 times, or like, what is this? Can I go to the settings here? I don't know how many times I'm zoomed in. This is probably 4 times. Okay. We're inside an Expo project, and you could now verify this, of course, simply with bun expo. This brings up Expo Go. This is the fastest way to see your app. You can press I for the iOS simulator. You can press A for the Android emulator. And if you don't have the latest version, it will install this to your selected device. The Expo Go application in the App Store actually recently had some issues, so I don't know if that is actually a legit path right now. I would anyway recommend not to rely too much on the Expo Go application. It is cool for especially non-technical people to quickly get started with Expo, but for you as real developers, you don't really need this too much very, very soon. Okay. I'm actually not sure which kind of AI I'm going to use. I think I will use Claude Code mostly throughout this video. But the first thing that I want to do is I want to bring in a little spec. And you might now say, oh, Simon, can't we do this spec together? Yeah, of course we can, but that's honestly quite uninteresting. I gotta do like, what are these shortcuts here? How did I change the sides of the menu bar to the left suddenly? How did I do that? I really don't know. Why is it now suddenly here? That is interesting. Okay, but I want to tell you how I came up with this and why. So if you're about to start a new project like this and you want to embrace AI, I highly recommend that you don't just tell AI to please bootstrap the whole application, build out everything, and yada yada yada. That is doomed to fail. Now what I did instead is I talked with Claude Code and I gave Claude Code exact instructions what I want to do. And I didn't tell Claude Code to implement this. I told Claude Code to write first of all, a specification for this. So I want to create a showcase AI voice notes app, including all this technology, yada yada yada. Write a specification file with the required technology, as well as separate it into different stages. We'll later want to implement one stage at a time. That just makes a lot easier. Even if you kick off an AI agent with the final goal of implementing like all 5-10 stages at once, it is still usually a bit better to split this up into stages. So this is essentially what I did. I don't know if we, I think I just changed a couple of things. So this is really the important AI engineering work I did up front. So I told, okay, let's use Open API instead. At some point I also said I want to use an Expo API route and not a server. Some keys should not be exposed. I want to use style sheet instead of native wind. And so you're essentially shaping where your project is going, because the initial recommendation from AI might not be perfect. And it is important to point out. The spec that you get with the first couple of lines is not perfect. Go through the spec, check it out, read through it, and then tell AI to adjust in these different areas or grill you on specific areas. Now, this is the final spec. You can also find this in the repository, and we will actually use AI to go along the different stages of this requirement file. So let's check it out. We just have a rough product overview here. Essentially, we want to have a voice notes recorder. You might have seen this in reality. Many apps came out a couple of months ago and are still coming out very successful, where you can speak into this. It is transcribed into text. It is summarized by AI. Sometimes it's taking out notes or to-dos or whatever. And exactly that is what we want to develop. But we're not writing this line by line. We're using cool tools, different tools, sign in, local auth. We're going to use ElevenLabs. We have a pro mode with RevenueCat. We're going to have some monitoring with Sentry. So we have all the essential stuff in this app, and we want to build this one by one. The spec also includes the tech stack. So we have Expo, we have auth using Clerk. We will use for anything audio, expo-audio. We have Expo Router API routes. That is fine. We can use ElevenLabs and their SDK. We're going to use OpenAI via the Vercel AI SDK. So this one's gonna be interesting for summarizing our stuff. And then we of course have expo-sqlite with the Drizzle layer for our local database. Expo file, we got revenue, Sentry, we use for styling style sheet. We want to use React query in case we're making anything, and for icons, expo symbols. So all of this is really a legit tech stack, and you should definitely look through this and approve it before telling your AI to go ahead. A bit about the configuration, environment files. We're going to get more into that soon, but essentially we're going to use the env file. We have an overview about our repository structure, so we're going to actually use a top-level source folder. That is for bigger projects usually a better idea, because then you can have an app folder and a components folder next to each other. So this whole app folder here is actually for Expo Router to pick up those routes. And because you can't really put any kind of components in here, that wouldn't work nicely with Expo Router. We have a separate components as well as features folder at the same level as the app folder. I think that looks good. We also have database constant hooks, so that is really nice. Additionally, here's the data model. So in our case, we just have some nodes for our Drizzle schema. Looks good to me with audio URI, transcript, potential summary, and optional tasks later as well that are extracted by AI. So then we get into the stages. We're gonna look at the stages soon. So stage 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many stages do we have? 8, 9, and then it's probably over. Then we have some other requirements, suggested build order as well. I would go just through the stages, of course, that makes sense. And then sometimes at least some open questions. I didn't actually answer them, but they should be fine for the moment. So with our project in place, with the spec in place, what I really want to do is I want to bring up Claude and then tell the Claude to implement stage 1, or is this stage 0? No, is it stage 0? I don't know. Let me check. Not making a mistake here. It's actually stage 0. Implement stage 0 of the spec. I don't know. I usually like to reference the spec files or in general the files I want to work with. So let's do this. While Claude is getting started, let's take a look what stage 0 is actually about. And this is what you as a developer would normally do, probably, or most likely I recommend do as well. Because in here we have the goal, clean slate to build on. So we want to strip the Expo template, okay? We want to rip out all the stuff we don't need. Drop the existing global style sheet, add a new theme with color spacing and stuff for our color scheme. Then we want to have Zustand, 10-stack query, Drizzle, expo-sqlite, Zod, all the great stuff in here for our app, because then we can also settle over to an Expo pre-build. We probably could still use Expo Go, but again, I don't think it's a really great way to develop, and the pre-build is just as easy. AI then also took a note to convert the app.json to app.config.ts. I usually don't do that, but I honestly also don't really have a problem with it. Typed config isn't worth, and I think many of you are using that as well. We then wanted to enable Expo Router server output. That is great. I usually forget about this later, so we can have API routes. This is also adding a stub health plus API, so we can verify the works on day 1. Really smart move here. We got an env example as well as our env and env local files. Define features folder structure and replace README with a project overview. That is a very solid starting point, and I just told, as you can see, Claude to implement all of that. Could have set this to codecs, could have used anything else, could have used the cursor built-in composer model. I think pretty much every AI would be able to achieve this in one go. I also think this is, like in my case here, it fits now all the tasks one screen. I would probably say this is the maximum of stuff I usually tell AI to do in one go. If you give AI like 20, 50 lines of tasks and to-dos, it becomes a mess, and it also becomes a mess for you to review. So I really recommend you do this sort of in a chunked way. That's also why we came up with these stages, and I told AI to develop a specification for this project with different stages. You in reality would probably work the same way. You wouldn't implement everything at once, although I kind of like to do like the critical path and check out the critical features first, but I think this is actually a very smart way to develop something. I find it quite funny when AI then also inputs something like, okay, this stage will take 1 week and then the next will take 2 weeks. And I'm like, why are you putting times in there? You're going to develop it anyway. It's going to take you 15 minutes and then it will be ready. But anyway, AI is taking some time because, well, it is quite a big change for the entire project. So let's come back once we have the initial implementation of stage 0. All right, so Claude is finished with stage 0. What's in place? Okay, stripped everything, dependencies added, theme, app config, a couple of routes, feature stubs, env, readme, hooks. Okay, looks good. That means I probably want to kill my server and run bun install for anything that's new. And then I want to run the pre-build for iOS. Okay, so you cannot automatically write, so I need to do this myself. Let's go to the app config. And to the iOS block, we want to have the bundle identifier set to whatever voice nodes. That's fine. This is your bundle identifier. You're gonna also do this for Android, of course, if you want to, so that it is the package name in that case. Now let's do it again. Bunix pre-build, and this should build our dev client. Why am I doing this? Well, we have a couple of dependencies we're gonna install more later. Those might be modules that are not included in Expo Go, and therefore I just wanna have this as like, I don't know. So I don't wanna give you a rundown of the Expo Go application. I had other videos on that topic already. Essentially, it is like a cool testing environment to quickly get something up, but it is limited. It has just a set of specific modules included in that app. So once you use a module in your code here that's not part of this Expo Go shell, it won't work for you. And therefore, I just like to build my own app. It just feels more like honestly, if I launch my own app and not through Expo Go. So here we go, the pre-build is finished, and then we can do bunix expo run iOS. Expo run iOS. If I would follow this up with -d, I could also select if I want to run this on my simulator or on a connected device. But if you just do it like this with bun run iOS or Android, it will automatically select like the first available thing to it. Meanwhile, I would also like to commit my changes probably. We can also check out what changed. Okay, so we got the example env with the setup for a bunch of keys here. That looks good. Yeah, we had the app config. We had changes to the package JSON in terms of 10-stack, Drizzle, SQLite, web worklet, Zustand. Why am I saying it? It's called Zustand. It's a German word. We had updates to the, okay, I added the spec file, removed a bunch of unused things, and also I really dislike the div in here. Like, if you look at this, can you tell me exactly what happened? I don't know. I just don't like the div view in here at all. We're gonna probably use an external div view for that, but we can notice that a couple of files were set up. So if we check out the app, we do have a top level layout file with a tab bar for index and settings. That looks actually good. We have an index bar page, we have a settings page, we have our API for testing, and we have the top level layout with a theme provider, the component folder, the constants folder with a little theme here. That looks decent as well. We have all the folders in place. That's pretty nice. Like, that's pretty cool setup. And of course, we might have to create our own local env file once we start using any of those. This is still building, but what I would like to do is actually here, or in a different view, create a private GitHub repository in my galaxies.dev org and push the code. I know I said this before, I can go to GitHub, create a repository, put the origin here, but I got lazy more and more, and AI can just do this just as fine. If you're not signed in, maybe it will ask you to sign in, but I would just do it because these are the things that you can just kick off and then you go grab a new coffee or something and it is just, the task is finished. For these small tasks, absolutely fine. Now, why am I seeing only my one tab here? I should be able to switch. Okay, so actually the app is also coming up. That is nice. Let's check it out. How can I create a, here we go. Okay, this is the app, nodes, settings. Well, not a beauty, but we got the app. Here we have dark mode. Yeah, we have dark mode. That's really the most important piece to me at this point. That after implementing stage 0, everything still works. Because we essentially, oh nice, it's actually pushed, I guess. We essentially changed a lot of files completely in this repository and installed packages and adjusted things. So if after stage 0, your application looks somewhat like this, then you're on a good trajectory. If not, if you have an error right now, which I don't have, so I can't show you, I would usually just copy the error into Claude Code or whatever AI you're using and tell it, hey, this is the error, fix it. And honestly, at this point, there shouldn't be too hard of an issue. So let's check out. Here's the voice notes app I just scaffolded. Nice, actually updated also the README. That looks very legit. The code for our app spec according to stage 0 is achieved. Claude is still a bit clouding, but we can wrap this up. Stage 0, done. All right, after a successful stage 0, it's time to head over to stage 1. So let's tell Claude, please implement stage 1 of our spec. In the meantime, let's check out what that stage is actually about. So now we want to implement the navigation, shell, and design system in our application. I think at this point, we should have a clear repository. Yep, so we should be able to witness all the changes. What we want is a visual skeleton for the rest of the app. We want a 3-tab layout with nodes, record, and settings with a center FabStyle record tab. Oh, that's going to be challenging. Empty states for the different pages, reusable primitives, button, card, sheet, pressable with haptics. I like that. Each with its own style sheet and using values from the theme. It's directly baked in with light and dark mode, typography, scale, and everything. And this is done when the app is a demo pretty. Now, I don't expect AI to nail this actually in one go. Why am I just pressing E and this is doing weird things to the side window? I don't know. Because, well, I don't expect AI to completely nail the UI as I would like to see it. But let's check out what Claude is doing here. I really like that we can see the output. So read Expo SDK 55 docs, install haptics, extend theme tokens, build the primitive components that we want. So button, card, sheet. Then it's building the record fab. I'm actually excited about that because I always hated to add like that middle button and make it look good. Build nodes, empty state, and record screen scaffold. That's cool. So I really expect that after this change, we should have a decent version. But this takes some time. So we'll eventually have to come back to this in a second. But what I want to see in the meantime is we can do this. I have this application called Yuck. I don't know. Shout out to another indie developer here. With this one, I can make API calls, and can we zoom in? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. There's like a screen. I don't know where it is. Anyway, here we can probably see localhost 8081. This is where my application is currently running. And here we also have the /API/health endpoint, which returns OK. So that is exactly from our app folder API, the health endpoint, so we can confirm that this works as well. That's pretty good. Wanted to do this from day one, as Expo said, and we can actually create already a copy of this and just call it .env or .env local, whatever you prefer, because you will need this file later. It should be already part of the git ignore, so you see your env is not committed. That is important. You don't want to do that. You only want to show your colleagues how they should add their local env. Then they do it like this. Expo public API base URL is probably worth pointing on. This is during local development 8081 or whatever port you use with Metro. But if you later deploy this, for example, with EAS, you would have to set on EAS the Expo public API base URL to that real URL and not just localhost. Sentry, RevenueCat, Clerk, OpenAI, ElevenLabs, more Clerk, Sentry Auth, all of that will follow up later. For the moment, that's not what we need. For the moment, there's honestly... well, we're quite far ahead already in here. So how does the app look? Do we already have an update here? So on my Mac, I can press Control Command Z to bring up this dev menu. I don't have the Expo dev client package installed. So what you're used to from Expo Go usually looks a bit more beautiful. This is the default React Native dev menu. Still usually enough to do a little reload here and there. So yeah, Claude is still doing. Let's check in again in a sec. All right, and Claude is finished. Stage 1 is in. Summary of what changed. I sometimes read through this, but more often in this case, I will look at the app and check what's going on. So the app looks good. We have nodes, we have settings. Okay, yeah, that looks good. And we can press here and it shows a record screen. Not too bad, but also not great yet. So we see that down here we have some issues. First of all, the tabs are too far down. The label below the icon is cut off by the save area, I guess. That is one thing. Another thing I would like to point out, and I don't know why, but I think I want to actually use Claude Code here, so then I can have multiple tabs next to each other. I don't know. There's another thing. So when I press record, I would actually like to bring this up in a bottom sheet. When I press the record button, the I don't know what the record page is actually. It's probably this one. Should be displayed as a bottom form sheet with Expo Router. So then it should like open up a bit more nicely. Fix the tab bar now. Is it really fixed? Let's see. Let's do a reload. We can probably do a screenshot here and then attach the file. Okay, here we go. Now the tabs are way too high. This one is working on the other issue with the opening. And then the third thing I would like to see is actually I want to use the native iOS header. So I can scroll this page, but I know on iOS you can have this move into the header area. So this requires probably a stack layout. Create a stack layout for home, or what is it called? Nodes. For nodes and settings. So we can use the iOS large header, which automatically shrinks on scroll. And this one is still thinking. So now we've kicked off 3 agents working in parallel. I don't think that is a problem, because one is working on the tab bar, one is working on how this should be displayed, and one is working on the settings and notes pages. Just what happens in between is usually that at some point the app breaks and you can't use it. But more or less this should work fine. Okay, this moved already the tab bar a bit down. I feel like we might have to do some manual adjustment here, but we can do this. We're no idiots. So we could now go into the according file right here, the layout file. Yeah, whenever you do this, it opens up like a div view. Don't really like this. So what is this now doing? Looking at the items are sitting near top of the tab bar. Double counting, save, inset. Okay, we're just gonna go into this ourselves. Here's the tab bar screen options, active color, show, style. Actually, mostly I think it is actually in the right place. I don't even know what is wrong. The tab bar now use React navigation defaults. Yeah. Could be the implementation here of that button. So I mean the fab is in the right place. We have settings. What is the tab icon? What is this one doing? On iOS we're gonna use a symbol view. Okay, we're going down a little rabbit hole here, but okay. This is a view with a specific, okay, it's using the prop size. Actually, not really a bad thing, I guess. Okay, so actually I have a different idea for this now. There's an Expo Router UI package where you have like unstyled tabs. I think it is better if we use that. Change our tabs to use the Expo Router unstyled tabs. I think that will work better. Because, I mean, do we really want to do the hassle with that? It could potentially work like this as well. It's just, our tab bar is, I think it's just not the right place. I think our tabs are still positioned too high on the screen. Okay, anyway, the stack layout with a header large title. Oh, nice. That actually kind of works. Let's go to settings. Okay, yeah, it seems to work. Okay, it works on scroll, but the title of the page is initially not visible. Is this new iOS behavior? Initially, I mean, in the past, that always was visible. Also, on the notes screen, on the, I don't know, just call it, on the notes screen, the empty screen component is now placed too far down. Okay, so this is now tinkering on the tabs. We kind of lost our center fab. I hope that's coming back. What was the third thing? Oh yeah, the third thing was to, yeah, with the record button. Okay. So yeah, they're all working on similar but slightly different pages. I hope that still works out. Sometimes it's a bit of tinkering. Maybe I should have just done this with one agent, but I still expect all of them to play nicely together. In any case, we already, oh nice. Was it right? I think it was right. It already positioned this one way further up as far as I can see. But now it's further down again. I think it will tinker on this. So let's check again once all of these three agents are done. All right, so we're finally done. I also told Claude to just make these pages similar. I think this is sort of the new iOS behavior where this just like gently fades in. There's a new setting called, let's check this out in our code, scroll edge effects and stuff like that. I honestly haven't used that before, so I was quite surprised to see this. What if this is for the settings page. What if I just remove that? Will it change anything? Yeah, it won't really do a difference. So let's see. Yeah, I think we can just remove that. It's just probably confusing at this point. But what we see is that mostly it works now. We have our empty page. We have a nice header effect. The tab bar is in a decent place down here. Maybe the fab is a bit too high up, but I don't want to change anything now. I want to leave this. And also this actually used the native bottom sheet, which nicely extends now. Since Expo SDK, I think 55, this respects the flex layout nicely. So you really see how well this stays in the center. This is great. I think we nailed it so far. If we check out our spec file, then we should be able to see that, I really don't like this. I don't want to change this. That we should have done mostly everything from stage 1. 3 tab layout, center, fab, reusable, primitives. All of that is in place, done when the app is demo pretty. We might want to have like a details page. That would have been cool. But we can probably do this at a later point. So for now, we don't need this. Application shell is in place at this point. Oops, I don't want to save this. Just checking the changes. Yeah, we moved a bunch of files. We have these primitives now. So we can have empty nodes. We have a button. We have a card. Makes me feel really good. We can now also generate our commit message if we are lazy. But I really don't like these super long ones. Oh, that's actually not too long. Nice, that's good. So I'll commit this, sync my changes, and then we're clear heading into the next stage, which should be implementing Clerk and authentication. Now we also want to add user authentication to our application, and there's no easier way to do this than using Clerk. If you've checked out or watched my previous videos in the past where we had the clone videos, I always love to use Clerk. Clerk is one of the sponsors of this video today, but I've been using Clerk for actually a couple of years at this point. I'm actually amazed. So if you haven't seen Clerk before, it is not just log in and sign up. It is really a user management platform. And over the years, it has grown into a couple of other things. Like at this point, there have a specific waitlist component, which is pretty cool if you're like an indie maker or building your own SaaS. They have, of course, server access, so you can now do things programmatically. And they have two new things that we also want to check out. So they do have a new Clerk CLI that I want to try. Actually, maybe we can do this first thing. So I will just run this and see what gives. And then we also have Expo native components. I'm really excited about this because in the past, we always had to use a different way. So Clerk on the web always had these web components, but on native, with React Native, we had to use it in a slightly different way. I will probably have to kill our live reload now anyway, so let's get a bit more space here and say Bunix Clerk init. I have no idea what this gives. Select the Clerk application to link. I actually would like to do a new one. Yep, we can do that. Voice notes video. Link to voice notes, run Clerk env pull to fetch your environment variables, Clerk doctor to verify, is also detected Expo. Nice, I like that CLI. It installs Clerk, no files to scaffold, pulling env vars, install agent skills. Yeah, absolutely. If someone recommends you or gives you the option, always install the agent skills, which package up, yes, Bunix. So let's check this out. Which agents do you want to install to? Universal agent skills. Okay, this already covers cursor and a bunch of others. I definitely would like to, yeah, Claude Code. The problem is that you can see this, like every AI is using a different file, folder, whatever setup for skills. Only if you have agreed to use plus agent skills, yeah, it's a pity. That's just the situation on the market. I don't think I need anything else. I'll just go and do this for the project and proceed with the installation. So this gives 7 skills: Clerk backend API, custom UI, Clerk setup, Expo patterns, Clerk webhooks. Really nice. So when you got these skills in your project and you say something like implement yada yada with Clerk, the AI is usually able to pick up one of those skills. You can also directly mention them if you want to, but most of the time they will be used in the right place. What else? Yeah, I will just go. I want to do a symlink. Should be fine. Okay, done. And if we now check out our Git, we should already see that I have like a new skills log file, and we have all of these skill files in here. Maybe we can check out one of them, like this one here. Okay, so this would be an example of a skill: custom sign-in flow core 2. This document covers the older SDK. And this is just an example for agents to see how things are done. Essentially, a short version of a specific part of their documentation. And so I have a bunch of these now. You see all of this is in a dot something file. So we're essentially just using, let's add this at Clerk and agents. Okay, so we can sync that, be safe. And then we should probably also check out, yeah, this is cool. Like it pulled down the key with the CLI that we created. Cool, that's really cool, I like that. That also means that if I refresh here in my Clerk dashboard, I should be able to see our voice notes AI app. So if you old school, you of course can simply log in, use the link below this video if you want to check it out. I highly recommend that. And then you can go to create your new project or do it through the CLI. Here's some examples. I wonder if Expo Secure Store was installed. I think I didn't see this. Yeah, I don't think it's in here. Let's see, we only have Clerk Expo. But I think we also need that one. Bun at Expo Secure Store. Bun at expo secure store, and this is done because it was pulled down. The rest should be fine. This is starting. Okay, yeah. I think we're mostly good now with that setup. So at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna check out our spec, and we're now at, I think, stage 2, right? We did the auth navigation stuff. Okay, so we can tell Claude to implement stage 2. Let's do it in here. That looks a bit better. I know that looks horrible right now, but where's the button? Here it is. Claude Code open. I want to have this full screen and not just here on the side. So implement stage 2 of our spec with Clerk auth. Use according login sign up screens, and I just want to clarify this using Clerk's new native Expo components. I just want to make sure that we really use those components. We can check them out in a second as well. Let's quickly see what the spec also said. Real sign in, sign up with Apple, Google Auth using Clerk's new. Okay. I mean, double, it's always good. Can't hurt to have this double, right? Okay, install Clerk with via Clerk provider in the layout with token cache from Expo Secure Store. Auth route group, sign in, sign up using the new sign in, sign up. Sounds good. Apple OAuth via Expo Apple Authentication. I'm not sure if we need that. We should check that out in the documentation. So if you see now in the Expo Quick Start in Clerk, you will see that you can either use native components, requires dev build, best for fastest integration, and JS plus native sign-in is best for custom UI with native sign. Yeah, and if you just use JavaScript, you have full control. Couple of trade-offs. We're going with the native components here, so we're really having native UI. One note I want to put up, this is currently in beta, so the native components, I actually thought they were out of beta, but okay, just as a warning for you, they are still in beta. In that case, reanimated worklets, reanimated dependencies that we need, Expo Secure Store, Expo Browser, Expo Auth Session might be one we still have to install, honestly. Although I'm not entirely sure about that, but let's do it. Run install Expo Auth Session. Can't hurt. We do have the key. And yeah, we should put this up into our app JSON. Now, the question is if we really need to do that, or if our AI is able to figure that out for us. Do we want to wait? I don't want to do everything like double. Let's see, where are you? Yeah, you're already wiring this up. I just saw it. App config was already changed. Yeah, Expo Secure Store, Clerk Expo integrated. We have Expo Auth Session that are the changes that we did. So that looks like this is going in the right direction, and we can just happily sit back. Or because we installed a couple of new packages, let's do. I honestly, I usually just go with Bunix Expo Run again, but lately I felt that for some reason the changes were sometimes not in the native project. So lately I've been doing more this step manually. I don't know. I don't want to confuse you about that, but just something I noticed. I also just want to quickly check out the configuration with you here. So I think we should usually go to our settings. These are the API keys. That should be fine. We might need our env file had something about that. I think the env file had like an oh, it actually used the Clerk. Sorry. Ooh, okay, CLI, not bad, not bad. In that case, we can head over to native applications under developers. And here we need to make sure that native API is enabled, which usually is, but we also need to add an iOS application in here. You can do this. I don't know if you could do this in theory through the API at this point. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, I don't know. In our case, let's just do it ourselves. So shouldn't be too hard. Our bundle ID comes from our app config. And in the app config, the bundle ID is this string. Now you also need your app ID. I'm just looking my one up because I think I used it, or I'm pretty sure I used it in a different video before. You can find yours simply by logging into Apple and then getting it. So this should be mine. I'm going to add my application. If you don't do this step, most likely your Apple sign-in in your application here won't work. So that's why I did it up front. For Android, you also want to add your Android package name and the namespace and that fingerprint, which you can usually get either through Expo with the CLI, or if you're using EAS, you can also download it from the website, or if you later do going for production, you want to get this from the Play Store, because the Play Store usually resigns your Android application with, once again, something different here with a different key, and then you need to add that one as well. Beyond that, I think we don't need to configure much here. Under user authentication, we have sign up with email enabled. Verify at sign up, email verification link. Yeah, I think all of this should be fine. You can also enable passkeys. We did this in one video. We're probably not going to do this today. And everything else here should be fine. I just want to make sure that, where is it? That we have actually, right, we have Google here. But I also want to have, I don't know if this is maybe automatically added very soon. We can also do this, enable for sign in, sign up. If you want to put in your own stuff, this is definitely required once you make a production build of your app. In that case, you need to fill this out while we're testing. We can just go with this and we don't need to enable custom credentials. So we just want to make sure that Apple can be used as a provider here as well. Meanwhile, our app is still clouding along. So the last thing I want to do is kick off a new pre-build, deploy to a device. So we want to make sure that Clerk, right? The new latest Clerk packages are correctly installed in our application. And then I'll run my application again on a device and we can just wait for our stage 2 implementation finished. All right, and our app is up and running. Stage 2 is done. Here's what landed. We're gonna check out the changes in a second. For the moment, I just want to see if this app actually works. So we do have sort of a sign-in screen, which now automatically seems to come with the login options that we've configured. I can also move this here so you can definitely see this. I could also enter my email. If I press this, it actually brings up the native sign-in with Apple. That sometimes didn't really work for me in the simulator. Google also tries to use Google. And let's try this one here, Simon at galaxies.dev, and see what happens. Couldn't find your account. Okay, that's good. So that means it looks like, okay. I am initially on the, what is this page? Continue to page. And if I enter my email, it seems to be using the login component. Can this be dynamic or anything? No, fix this. I can't sign up with email. That's what I just noticed here initially. Okay, so we can't get further with that, but we can check out the changes. So app config, we saw the change. I'm really curious about the general changes as well. So we have changes to our layout files, both for the tab bar as well as the top level. So on the top level, we have the default implementation of Clerk, loading the key and then just wrapping our Clerk provider around the application. Really, this is something you don't need to worry about anymore with AI agents. Then in our app tab bar, we actually have use auth, and then use auth is using, I'm not the biggest fan of that, to be honest. I mean, we should be able to do this with the Expo Router guard, right? So let's follow this up in here already. Please use Expo Router guards in our top level layout. Let's reference that for clarity. Layout.tsx should be this one instead of the current use auth in the app tabs layout. Okay, so this one, okay. The fix for the other problem seems to be in, although I don't actually think it is fixed. But we can check this out. I just can't reload here anymore, I just noticed. Can we still? I don't think it's fixed. We will check out this component. Okay, now it works. Check your email. I will for sure check my email. And why and where are all these things coming from, you might ask. And honestly, I asked myself the same. So let's check it out. In the source folder, we now have our layout and we have an auth group. That auth group here, can we just hide that one or put it next to this? Okay, better. That auth group is signed in, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that it will probably be improved. Now, the sign in itself implements or brings in the auth view from Clerk Expo native. This is exactly the new stuff that I've been talking about. So now it renders this native auth view. You can check out the documentation on this. Where is it? So this is the sign in component right here. Ours looks slightly different, honestly. But this is also, I think, the web version, what I'm seeing here, and not really the native UI. Right, yeah. But this is essentially what we got, because this is the new auth view for native. Cool. Claude also says it's done. Let's see. Okay, done. Auth gating is now declarative. While stack protected at the root, guard behind, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's hope that's correct. And therefore, when I on this sign in and I do use this, all of this is handled now by Clerk itself. So you see, I don't have like a check your email. Like if I search for check your email, yeah, it's just an MD file. That's a custom. That is actually the agent skill here from Clerk. But is it the new way? But there's nothing in our code that has check your email. So everything we see in here is actually the component. I also got my code. Here we go, verification code. Let's enter that. And I can now create a unique password. I absolutely hate doing that. Do I have any? I will just type some random letters here and hope that Clerk will be happy with that. I'll just put this in here. Okay, nice. And here we go. We're inside. We're once again in our app. I now also, oh, you see what's going on here? It looks like Claude also implemented our settings page for us. So let's check out what happened over there. Settings index was changed. And we're now getting our user using use auth and the user hook from Clerk. Use auth is used to get the sign out functionality. The rest catches our email. That's good. It gets the display name and everything. And it renders that account card. Now, what I expect is that if I reload, I'm once again in my application and we're now always getting this error because Clerk has been loaded with development. Can we please disable this? I think there was like, can we disable lockbox warnings? I always get this one here. So this is just a warning from Clerk that we're using development keys. If you bring up the dev tools, you would see this right here. Clerk has been loaded with development keys, yada, yada, yada. I'm aware of that. You should be aware of that. You should fix this before production, of course. But right now during testing, I hate that it always comes up at the bottom of my view. Now, before we wrap this up, there are a couple of things. First, I would like to test. This is fixed already? No, it's not really fixed. Can we just add ignore all logs? Something like that. I'm pretty sure. Why is it always opening in something new? Can I do like ignore all logs? Oh yes, that sounds good. That is dangerous. Okay, let's go sign out. You want to sign out? Yep. And that brings us automatically back here. And so if I reload, my session should be deleted and I'm back here. Perfect. That is good. Let's also check two things. First of all, I want to see if my user actually now shows up. So in here, this is not my, this is the one, right? Oh yeah, we put it to the bottom. Here we go, voice notes video. Yep, here is Simon. I could actually also change my image here or give this user a name or do anything about him, but I will keep him untouched. But what I would also like to try is you can now also theme these native components with a JSON file. So let's try that. Let's bring in a Clerk theme.json. I think I prepared one. So let's open this up and place it at the root. That's called Clerk theme.json. I just want to use a couple of different colors here. And as far as I know, we now need to go to our app config. And for our Clerk Expo, we now need to provide this. So let's check it out. Here's Clerk Expo. We will replace this with something that looks like this. So now we have Clerk Expo and we're supplying the theme, our theme file. So you can apply different colors and designs, border radius and whatnot. I will not go crazy on this one. However, because this is referenced, I don't expect this to get picked up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I might have to do a new pre-build or I have to just run it again. I will not take any chances. I will do a pre-build here because that will for sure make sure that the Clerk theme is copied and applied to our native object. So if you're dangerous, just use run expo again and you might be able to see your changes. Actually, I will also do a screenshot so we can compare if there are any changes. Once again, I just want to call out that these native components are still in beta. The theme here, that update is from April 16, depending on when this video goes live. It's not very long ago. I mean, in AI land, it probably is, but in reality, that's not really long. So it is very early days for these Expo native components. Specifically, they are now here listed again, auth view, the one you've seen before, user button, as well as user profile view. Are we using any of those on our, let's tell Claude to do this actually. That might be fun. Do we still have something from Claude open? Can we also use the new user button? Oh my, Simon and his shortcuts. User button and user profile on the, we also use the new Clerk native component on the settings screen. Why not? Why not? Oh, that is, I should probably have done this in a new view. We were talking about, yeah, we were talking about the logs here. But the cool thing is, you see, I'm asking about something like Clerk native components, user button, user profile view, and it automatically brings in the skill we installed before Clerk Expo patterns. That is the cool thing. Like now I even sometimes click on this and I see where in the docs AI is looking this up because I'm sometimes too lazy to figure it out and look through this. And so AI lists this and I can just, oh, interesting, it's that one. Okay, user avatar is just that. User button is, it's a clickable button, okay. And user profile is probably, ooh, it's an entire profile. Ooh, I don't know if I want that. But anyway, is my app already up and running? No, we're not yet. Oh, and we still need to check if the change is in. Couple of things, you know, and this gives me a moment to talk about what really is fun about development still. So you see, we're doing a lot of agentic coding. I just tell Claude to do what to do. We have a spec, we're going along the spec, we're fixing a couple of bugs with it. But overall, I'm still like orchestrating this. I'm looking at the Clerk docs and see, oh, there's a user profile. Let's do this. I'm looking at Expo and reading news and see they have new ways of presenting something or new routing. And I tell Claude, hey, please use this. So if you don't understand the technology, it is still very hard to build truly great applications. If you're coming to this as a vibe coder, you might be able to achieve the same thing. But if you're coming to this and actually understand Expo or React Native and what's going on, you have a lot better chance to survive in this world and to build great applications. Because you know that this Clerk theme here is referenced and you put it into your app config, and because of that, you need to do a new pre-build of your application because otherwise it's not synced to the native folders. These are just the things that probably a vibe coder wouldn't know and that are really helpful when implementing stuff like this. Okay. Enough of the talk. We see, compared to the previous screenshot, not too many changes, although like the border here and the radius of the buttons definitely is different from before. And of course, that button has a slightly different color. Slightly, yeah. All right, let's go. I'm gonna log in. Oh, my password. Where's my password? This giant password. Oh, here we see also our primary colors. I kind of like that color. Do you like it as well? Let me know in the comments. What's your favorite color during testing? All right, verification is in. We're again in our application and everything should work. And now, yes, it is installed. So let's check out the app source settings folder. Now let's check. Okay, so this is apparently this is the user profile view. So the user can sign out. We can go to the profile. That is actually, that's quite impressive. Like I could have rendered the entire user profile here on this page instead of what we had before. Huh, that's really cool. Okay, that icon here is, oh, that's even cooler. Okay, I don't know what I like more. The user button up here is really cool to like update my profile. Can I edit? If I can add this, choose from photo library. This gets always better all the time. Huh, okay. Well, that is nice. That's really nice. Can connect more accounts. You can, like bringing this in with just one user button, that's madness. That's really nice. And I'm probably going to see this with the other services as well. I've been working with them over the years and I try to follow the news of Clerk and Sentry and RevenueCat and ElevenLabs and all these others. But they're moving so fast right now with the AI changes. It's so cool to see this. So if you're using Clerk, there are many options now. The native auth view is great for getting quickly a sign in. You can also customize it, but be aware it is still in beta. User profile button opens up this native view. Wild, absolutely wild. The thing I need the least probably right now is this full card of the user accounts. I will actually comment that out. We don't really need that one, but it was nice to see this anyway. Where can I? Okay, we now have the sign out here. I assume that will work. I don't want to try and log in again. So at this point, I'm really happy. Add Clerk auth. We're done with that. I can commit and push this, and we have achieved stage 2. It's still strange that we started with 0. I'm sorry about that. Maybe in the video I will edit this so we start at 1, but in my plan it was starting at 0, and you're a developer, so it should be fine for you to start with 0. Anyway, at this point, You have hopefully navigation, styling, and authentication in your AI voice nodes in place, and we can take one step back to implement a bit more about the fundamentals for our app, which is the database. All right, so time for stage 3, local database nodes CRUD. This is our spec, so we're just going along the spec so we can implement this and be sure that every part works after the first one. First, we need expo-sqlite. I think we should have that dependency in the package.json already. Let's quickly check this out. Yep, we got that. Plus Drizzle, this is an ORM. You're gonna see how easy it makes to actually access the data, but most of this will anyway be written by AI at this point. Schema from paragraph 4, so we've seen that before, generate migrations. And then a couple of features here under nodes, so use nodes, use node, create node, delete node, update node, using React query, a node list with swipe to delete and pull to refresh. I'm excited about that. So let's kick this off. Let's tell implement, what is this? Stage 3, right? Stage 3 of our spec, and just kick it off. Don't need anything else. This should give us a node list, okay, a node details screen. I'm looking forward to that. A seed script for 5 dev nodes. I really like that this is included in the plan as well, because usually then you have to try, record, and do something. So making sure that we actually also have something to test at this point already is a pretty good idea. We're done here when we can tap new mock in settings and see it appear instantly in here, kill the app, relaunch, and it's still there. Yep, that makes sense. So that will now check if Drizzle and expo-sqlite and everything related is installed. And hopefully this will set up everything that we need for Drizzle, because I know from the past, if you haven't used Drizzle, you need like a configuration file, you need a schema. Based on that schema, you can then use the Drizzle CLI to generate migrations for the database and stuff like that. So I'm expecting that all of this will come together. So let's just wait a minute and then we check in once AI is done. All right, AI says it's done. We have a bunch of changes in that we definitely should review. But most importantly, it's essentially what I said before. So this is now setting up, let's do this full screen here. This is correctly setting up Drizzle. I know this. So here we got the Drizzle config, which points to a schema file and where to place the migrations file. The according packages were added to the dev dependencies, as well as here to allow Drizzle to import the migration files. We also seem to have a new database provider wrapped around our application right here. So that looks good to me. I don't know why we have any change in here. We don't really have one. Yeah, this is already very detailed using the nodes and stuff. We might look at that. We have a node card. We actually have swipe to delete from the React Native gesture handler. I'm curious because that is exactly how I would implement it as well. We're gonna see how well that works. We have a little wrapper for our database locally. That sounds pretty good. And we have a provider here which wraps around our use migrations hook. So this will initially set up the database. We have the schema. This is pretty much as described in the our specification file. We have a nodes table with pretty much everything that we need. I guess we could extend and go into details, but I'm pretty confident that this is exactly what we need. And also the migrations were generated. So here we have the SQL script for our initial nodes. Looks good. We have a couple of hooks here. We're using nodes, which will do something using use query. So it's using 10-state query. And it uses functionalities like this: list nodes, return database, select from nodes, where, yeah, then all of this, like, I kind of like to make these. I mean, in a reality, if you're working in a company and you're doing PRs and you're working with AI, you should probably really review every single file and change. However, at this point, when you're working on your own project, I usually like to just specifically look into a couple of places and check if what I see matches what I also would do. Sometimes I'm actually excited because it's better than what I would do. So here we go. What is this? This is our query client for 10-state query, some settings. Yeah, everything looks pretty legit to me. Let's give it a try. I will actually place this here now, because otherwise I'm always covering this with my head halfway, and I don't want that. So No changes in here, although we have a pull to refresh. That is cool. Recording is still not working. We haven't wired that one up. So let's go to the settings. So here we go. We can have either seed 5 nodes. Let's try that one out. Oh, I have like a, I don't know. That doesn't look right. Oh, I actually did this now a couple of times. I'm sorry. So here we go. We have a list of nodes. That looks pretty good. Let's go into one of them. We have a details page. Well, what can I say? That's exactly how I envisioned this as well. We could debate whether we want to push that page full screen. Right now, it seems to be a child of the tab bar. In reality, you might want to have this full screen, but that would be telling AI like one thing and that would change. So it would change to like a higher level stack implementation in our app. Maybe we're going to do that. But we can go into them. We actually have something to check off that is pretty cool. And this is kind of how our voice notes should later be transcribed. So essentially we have this transcript area, which will come from ElevenLabs. And then AI will make a summary here, perhaps also generate these tags and extract some tasks that might be in the voice notes. We have a generated title. How can I delete this? I would probably, we could probably add a delete button here as well, but we should also have swipe to delete. So let's check. Yeah, okay, well, let's try again. Yeah, that's clearly not working as expected. I think we need to improve this, and I think this happened to me before as well. How can we get back to here? So let's say when I swipe to delete a node, it will already open the node when I release my finger, so I can't delete it. That is essentially the issue we're facing here. But let's try. Yeah, that seems to reorder. We could maybe make that like a little reorder animation. Maybe we're gonna follow this up with when I delete a node, the rows should animate back and not just snap to the deleted place. Also, then we're gonna do this in another one. We have multiple agents, so we can do this in another one. Let's do on this one. On the node details screen, I want a button to delete a node. It should open a confirmation alert, and on delete we go back to the previous screen where the list should be updated. Okay, so 2 little changes. However, this is really cool. Like we have a task checklist, we have a swipe to delete, yeah, we have the note card, we have the index. This is really, I mean, I can't say anything really bad about this implementation, to be honest. We could play around, of course, with the query client settings and with some minor adjustments, but overall, this already looks very promising to what I would expect. I don't know about you and if it implemented it for you correctly, but I find it pretty cool that AI completely nailed the whole Drizzle implementation, the hooks, the connection with 10-stack query, like all of that, which is sort of our essential architecture and the backbone of an application, is a decent implementation. And it is a decent implementation because we took the time initially, or I gave you the spec, but you could have done the same. And we planned this out correctly. We orchestrated how our app should look like. We are the architects of this application. So even though we're not writing every single file of this, we know that AI has been following our plan. It's not inventing or bringing in some like strange package or anything that we didn't allow. It is following exactly our plan and just doing the really boring stuff. So let's try here. I can now delete this node. Yeah, let's see. Let's try with the top one. Mock node something. Okay, yeah, and it's gone. And this one is still a plain function. So yeah, potentially still working on this. Okay, let me implement first make. Okay, so AI is gonna do this. Also, there, like on some screens, if this was like my final application, I would go a bit more into detail. For example, here, if you check out, we have some padding here. Normally, if you have a swipe to delete, I don't want padding here. So we could structure this in a different way. Right now, probably there's like a container here around this, and therefore if you swipe outside of it, the part here is not visible anymore. Again, I could prompt AI to fix that as well. It already fixed this one, but it usually means to like restructure the whole page, and I don't really want to do that. So let's just try this one here. Yeah, we have now the animation. I got the swipe to delete. Yeah, this is exactly how I wanted it to be. This works perfect, exactly. I still think like we should have the nodes up here. Honestly, I will check out later what iOS 26 is doing here, if this is the normal, because this doesn't look right to me. I feel like here there needs to be the title. We gotta have nodes here, and then on scroll, if we scroll up, it should move like that into the header. I don't know why it's not displayed here. I'm gonna figure that out. But now rows snapped. Yep, have the animation, and swipe delete works as well. So let's do a magic commit message here for all that we did. And then we can commit this, and we can also quickly check out our spec, because at this point, I think we can confirm for stage 3. 1, 2, 3, done when you can tap new mock in settings, and it appears here. So right now we have podcast ID at the top. If I do new mock, we have new mock nodes. Yeah, that's, I can confirm this, it works. So if this works for you as well, you're done with stage 3 and you can continue with the next one. As said in the beginning, we're trying to do this one feature at a time, or one crucial part of the application at a time. And right now we're at stage 4, which is audio recording. So we're talking about this screen where we can record some audio and potentially have a file from that as well. So that is exactly the plan we have here. Capture audio reliable and store it in the sandbox or later on the device. Expo-audio will be used for permissions. Animated waveform, I don't know how AI is gonna do that. Pause, resume, cancel, save, writes to the file system, sounds good. On save, we insert a new node. We can do this now. We have the database, inline player, and done when I can record 10 seconds and see it as a row with a new node. Okay, I think we're fine here. We can just kick this off as always. So that should be implement stage 4 of our spec. And here we go. We kick it off, we wait a couple of minutes and just see what we get, and then we're gonna do some bug fixing. All right, stage 4 is completed, but there are a couple of things that probably also happened to you if you followed along. So Claude added a couple of dependencies here, expo-audio, crypto, and file system, as well as made changes to the app config. That should always ring a bell for you that you might need a new pre-build or install the dependencies if AI didn't do this automatically. We then have the audio feature, we're gonna check that out, new components, screen updates, and that's it. So let's give it a try. Actually, no changes here in what we can see, but now, okay, we need microphone access. That screen looks good. Allow microphone, I will allow this. And that screen also looks good. Let's give it a try. Can I really record a voice note? Oh, that waveform really works. That is wild. Okay. So far, I'm absolutely like, that was cool. That was cool, definitely. I press OK. And we have a new voice note up here. We can go in there. It has, of course, no transcript or task because we haven't implemented that correctly yet. Now, what I'm curious about is whether this plays back. Let's give it a try. Can I really record a voice note? Oh, that waveform really works. Well, what can I say? So, for everyone hating AI, that was another proof. perfect execution here. Of course, we can debate the AI, the UI, and yes, this here is probably not perfect yet. I'm gonna actually do like fix that. I feel like I should commit before because that actually works so good. Voice recording stage 4. Really, I don't want to mess this up. I really like to commit a few more times than necessary usually. Let's attach this file here. The UI in the condensed form sheet overlaps. So that's probably going to be an easy fix. We could also align that one here. So the duration progress bar on the, I don't know what that screen is actually. I usually like to reference that, but is it something like ID? Yeah, probably. Is not vertically aligned with the play button. It should be in the center. Okay, so just those are really like super small adjustments. Beyond that, that's really cool. We could also easily fix this honestly by just making it like start here and not start in a condensed version, but I still think it should actually work. So why not tell AI to fix this little visual issue here? Yeah, it could actually be a bit further down, but I guess that's, yeah, that's also fine. I mean, did I like it before more? I don't know. I think we can keep it like this. Also, this is more centered. Yeah, of course, now the times are a bit off, but I think the duration bar should be centered. So really, that looks good to me. Let's try this now in the condensed form. Is the recording also working in the condensed form? Okay, I want to just try to delete. And again, can I record here? Does that work? And then we got the new recording in the list. Can I record here? Does that work? Yeah, well, I honestly thought we're gonna spend more time here with the recording, but that setup seems to be absolutely fine. From the audio player, and this is one of these cases where, you see, it just works. Why should I do like too much diving into the implementation? Because AI did this correctly. The stuff I saw looked good to me. The playback here is probably using, yeah, we see this red line because I think I need to restart my IDE. I had some issues deleting stuff, but this looks pretty good. So the playback section, yeah, uses just the audio player. The audio player uses use audio player from expo-audio and the audio player stages. Honestly, what I would like to see is how the waveform came to be. So during recording, we have the waveform here. So the waveform uses an animated style. Okay, that makes sense. And it uses the shared value, bar count, min scale. How is this actually getting like the audio level? Okay, we're getting this as an input for the waveform, and that's probably then on the record screen. What do we pass to the waveform? Recording metering. Ah, okay. Interesting. So the use recorder that AI built has this metering built into. I definitely wasn't aware that this is a thing that we can use this. Very cool, very cool. So I think that's pretty neat. So we have the list. We can do recording. We can delete them as well. They're stored as files. So if I reload, I'm pretty sure I should be able to. Can I really? Yeah, I can play that back again. So I think that already wraps up stage 4. We can just commit the little changes here and then we're done. Yeah, the commit message is longer than the actual change. Wow, that is good. And with that in place, I think we can head over to the core functionality, which is using and getting a transcription for the voice recording. Alrighty then, time to get into stage 5, transcription with ElevenLabs. If you haven't heard about ElevenLabs, no problem. I will quickly let you know what ElevenLabs is all about in a second. But let's quickly, before that, talk about our spec. So the goal for this stage is simply to get raw audio to text. So that means if we check out the simulator, I have talked something, and then we want a transcription of whatever Simon said in here. That is the idea. So basically we need voice to text or speech to text. The spec here says with a state machine, so the user can see what's going on, and secret keys staying on the server. That's really important because you could just implement this from the front end side, make an API call. That would definitely work, and here is like some behavior about that. But what we can do and how this is meant is that we actually want to use our env file. So in the env file, we're gonna have our ElevenLabs API key, just like we would have for any other secret information. It's important that there's no expo in front of it. So expo public, all of these keys will end up in your app bundle. These keys will not. So therefore, make sure expo public is not in front of your ElevenLabs API key variable. And to use it in a safe environment, we also will have or will need a new API route. We currently only have this health API, so AI will hopefully figure this out and build a correct endpoint. What did I do? Okay, pre-flight check, confirm whether ElevenLabs offers I don't know, we don't really need that. I can just remove that as well. So this should be the default behavior. Route the call through API transcribe plus API. I honestly don't really care too much about the implementation here. Client uploads using Clerk BRA token. That's actually pretty smart. Then we have also authentication in our API route using Clerk. Pretty cool combination. I'm excited to see how that plays out. The route verifies auth forwards to, yeah, okay, we probably don't need to make a post request. I think we can just use the ElevenLabs SDK instead. This is the client work, same of regardless, so a bit of thin wrapper. Yeah, basically just making sure that the app shows the state, like we are recorded, we are transcribing, we are ready, we have an error. Free tier minute counter, that's for later, once we add like the pro mode to our application, and a pretty transcript. Okay, all of that I think sounds pretty good. This is done when we can do this. So let's talk about, please implement stage 5 of our spec. I think I want to do something before that, because as far as I know, ElevenLabs does offer an MCP. Let's look for MCP here. Right. It was already MCP. There was I just saw it, like the command in here. Oh, here it is. Okay, we're already. I'm here in the documentation of the 11 API. There are more to this creative agents. We're gonna look into this while our agent works. But here, as always, if something has skills or anything, we want that. So let's add this npx skills add ElevenLabs skills and the speech to text skill. Speech to text, right? We're doing that. We want to install this for Claude Code in my case, yes. For the project, just with a symlink, proceed with installation. Of course, make sure you select the option that's right for you. So if you have something else, please use that. I also probably, yeah, that always adds. So let's add ElevenLabs skill. Let's already commit that because then we got a clean slate here. And then I will also open up a new Claude window because I'm sometimes not sure if this is really using, I mean, in general, we can check out the MCP servers here, but I wanted to check out can we check out like the skills? No, we can't. Okay, then let's just do this. Implement stage 5 of spec. Because we have the skill installed, If there are any questions here about the ElevenLabs API, I'm pretty sure that Claude will be able to apply the skill. Now, back to ElevenLabs in the first place. If you have never used it before, what are you actually doing? You have missed out on a lot. So pretty much since the early days when it was possible with AI to like use text-to-speech, speech-to-text, anything in that domain, ElevenLabs was like the best-in-class solution for pretty much every application out there. I've used it in one of my own applications as well, because the output from ElevenLabs is simply the best. I'm not just saying this because they're a sponsor of this video. I've used them before. I did my own research. I tried other services. They all look kind of shady, and ElevenLabs was really the only one that looked legit in the early days, and it has evolved massively. So in the beginning, what I basically had was something like this. There was the ElevenLabs JS SDK, and I could use it with text-to-speech, speech-to-text, anything like that, and I would get a nice result. At this point, there's a lot more to it. And if you want to check it out, there's a link below this video that will tell ElevenLabs that you came from this video. This helps me, this helps ElevenLabs to see that you watched this video. So please, if you have no account, use that link and sign up now. I'm actually not getting any money for that, by the way, for like your sign up. So you can just do it. There's no affiliate link. It's just for tracking. What you get here is, and I would really love to tell you, you get like $20 free credit. You don't, but the good thing is you can just start for free. And that's what we're going to use, because you can see here with the free one, you essentially have all of this available, and you got 10K credits per month. I really love it when like these services can offer so many credits and so much stuff for free. So you can just build out your initial project, and once you make money, I'm pretty sure you will be able to offer to afford $6 per month or even 11, and that already has like professional voice cloning. Now, once you've signed up, you are inside the home of ElevenLabs. We will have to create an API key here in a second. I don't expect Claude to do that. Speech to, nice, we can already see speech to text, skill used, Expo API routes, skill used. That gives me such a good feeling. When I see Claude is using the right skills for the stuff, I'm totally cool. I feel like we should maybe also have a Drizzle skill. Did we add a Drizzle skill? I don't know. Add Clerk backend dependencies, so these are the to-dos. Implement API route with auth, transcribe, client transcription, wiring. Yeah, looks good to me. Might take a couple of minutes. Okay, so in ElevenLabs, you can do a couple of things. Maybe you're a bit confused here, but one of the cool things is you can use different voices. So when you generate any kind of audio, you can also specify one of these voices. So yeah, very German, very German. But I think let's see an English actor.
Imagine a world where people are kind, the environment is respected, and we all can feel safe.
Yeah.
Imagine
oh, sorry, didn't want to start it again. And there are like, I don't know how many voices, and you can just use them for letting your app speak with these voices. You can also generate your own voices. I think I once tried to make my own voice. Yeah, I also think I used like a sexy voice for something, but that is more like Vadim's topic, not mine. Greetings, Vadim. Here are the default voices. They're really, really clear and good. Now, we got the API key section, so we should probably start with that. Let's create a key. I will call this the no, let's call this, what we call this? Voice nodes videos. I'm going to give this unlimited, can I use like monthly? I don't know, give it a 5K. And this will have speech to text access, no access to the rest. Yeah, wow, you can do so much by this point. Wow. Okay, let's copy the key and let's already place that into our env file, because that's where it belongs, right here, ElevenLabs API key. There we go. So we should be fine with that one already. Now we can also check out more. So there are also webhooks. We're not going to use that. They also by now have a complete agents platform. So this came a couple of months, I think, or last year to ElevenLabs. it is wild because, as I said, they started pretty small in the beginning and they have expanded in so many directions that you can use it for pretty much everything that is related to voice. You can generate long form audio, you have the voice library, you have so much more. There's actually also a mobile app that you can check out from ElevenLabs. I think I tried this also. It's one of the best. I think it's rated really, really great. Then we got the whole agent topics. I would actually love to create a little agent here for us at some point. So maybe let me know in the comments if you're interested in a future video where we do a bit more with ElevenLabs and their agents platform. But most of you probably, if you're a builder, you will look into the 11 APIs. So here we got everything that we need in terms of, come on, stay open. Text to speech. We got speech to text. We got real-time speech to text as well. So you can really have like a real-time conversation. We got dubbing for videos, we got voice cloning, so that's what I said. You can pass in your own voice, like, I don't know, a minute or two, and then make a voice clone of yourself. You can by now make music, sound effects, everything's possible also through the API. Let's see, where I think at some point I had the API open. Right, here it was. ElevenLabs Quick Start. Now, we have the skill, we've created an API key. I assume that AI is actually now installing our ElevenLabs JS SDK, and make your first request should be in an API route. Is the API route already there? Yeah, here it comes. ElevenLabs URL, default model. Yeah, this looks like AI still tries to make like a form data request. I don't think that's required. We're gonna change that probably. Because I don't really like that implementation, to be honest. We're going to use the ElevenLabs SDK here. Then let's head over to speech to text. So that's exactly what we want to do. We already get the audio file. We were able to see this in our application since we could play the transcript, and then we should be able to just send it here. At least that is my hope. Two notes that I still also wanted to talk about with you. One is that in the next chapter, or in the next stage, we're probably going to use the Vercel AI SDK. The AI SDK is really great in helping you do any kind of AI SDK integration, whether it's Gemini, OpenAI, or Anthropic, anything beyond that. It works really great with the Vercel AI SDK, with streaming in Expo and API routes, really great. ElevenLabs works with the Vercel AI SDK as well. However, I'm intentionally not doing it right now because I already introduced you to the topic of ElevenLabs, and I don't want to at the same time also introduce you to the Vercel AI SDK, and then everything is mingled here together. So create ElevenLabs comes from the AI SDK, and you're questioning, Simon, what are you doing there? This is too much. So I just want to put it out here that you could also do it through the Vercel AI SDK. Probably that's a cool idea if you anyway going to use it. If you don't use it, just use the ElevenLabs API or the SDK. That's totally cool. But if you're using it, it's probably a cool idea that you just use it like this. And you could just refactor this. It's honestly, you could just after this initial step say, hey, please use the Vercel AI SDK with the ElevenLabs provider, and AI will most likely nail this. The second thing I wanted to tell you is that I actually also had a video in the past about this called Build Your Own AI Caption Editor. In that video, we used Convex as our backend, and we were able to record videos, voice, and get an exact transcription here. So in this video, what you can see is that I was able to get back captions from ElevenLabs exactly to a start and end point. So you always get like, when is someone speaking something, which is absolutely perfect if you build any kind of captioning tool. And I know that is very popular right now as well. So if you're interested in that, check out the video. It is actually a 6-hour-long clone. If you're only interested in like the transcription, just check out the chapters. I think it's around here, creating the caption editor. Towards like 4-ish hours. Yeah, here is the where we use the array buffer and where we make a call to ElevenLabs. I'm gonna put the link to that video in the show notes as well in the caption, but you can also find it on my channel, Build Your Own AI Caption Editor. Alrighty. Claude is not yet done, and as I said, that's gonna be a huge change. I'm also not super happy with the API point, because it's just making a fetch call. That will probably work. But ElevenLabs has an SDK, so we're definitely going to use that instead. But what I really like is that we're using Clerk backend here now for an require auth. That is cool. That is really interesting. And in the route, we're actually awaiting that auth. So we're checking the request. Essentially, we're having like a middleware here. That could probably work even easier with Expo. I think Expo Router by now also supports middleware. I don't want to confuse you or Claude too much, but I think it has the skill. It essentially has the skill to do it. So I don't think this is the native way to do middleware, but if it works, honestly, it works. We don't have to be like too crazy about minor syntactic things if this works. But we can already queue our message, which is please use the ElevenLabs SDK in the API route instead of a direct HTTP fetch call. I'll already queue this because I feel like this won't change anymore. So let's wait until the initial and the queued message is finished. All right, I actually encountered one more issue. So when I ran the application, I got there's an error, reference property crypto doesn't exist. I wasn't really sure about what is going on, so I just pasted the message here into Claude, and the result is actually pretty interesting, and it is also fixed because the issue is that Expo Router will basically use the file or everything in our folders, except, by the way, plus middleware. So that is the file format we could have used for the middleware. Anyway, and the utils folder was in our routing. It was in the API folder, and that used the use auth. It moved it now here under features auth server probably. So this was kind of trying to get into our bundle, and that caused issues with crypto, but AI was able to figure that out, and I restarted everything, rebuilt everything, and now let's give this a try. I am recording this and hope it will reach the ElevenLabs API, which will hopefully transcribe this because I'm recording a video and I want to make a nice note. All right, wow, that was fast. Wow. I'm recording this and I hope it will reach the ElevenLabs API, which will hopefully transcribe this because yeah, absolutely nailed it in terms of precision and speed. That is exactly what I wanted to tell you and show you about ElevenLabs. Maybe it's like there are other services, but I don't think that anyone compares in quality to what you get from ElevenLabs. So you saw, and we're not even using the real-time API as far as I know. This is just the regular API. So let's quickly check out what Claude implemented here. In transcribe, we have a bunch of settings here. So we use the scribe v2 model. That's what you want to use if you use it as a string, but the import here is even better. We create our ElevenLabs client using our ElevenLabs API key. That's good. And then we have our Expo Router post function here, which will first make our little auth check. So if that is not good, we're gonna get out here immediately. And again, the auth check will actually now use my Clerk secret key, and we'll check if the user currently has a valid token using verified token from Clerk. Pretty cool. I think I never did this before, but it's a great way to protect your API routes really, really easily. I would just maybe follow this up and say, hey, use the Expo middleware for require auth because it just looks nice. Then we get our client. If the client is missing, we have an error. Then we create our object here. And let's see whether, yeah, here it is. Here is the actual call. So client speech to text convert. We pass in our file the model ID, which is scribe v2. And then we have a bit about timestamp granularity, and you can also pass in a language code. I guess in this case, it's probably, yeah, just using English. And then we return that to our client. Besides that, If we check out the changelog, we will also see a bunch of changes here to the schema. So we get like our little state machine. And under hooks, we create a new node with task. That looks good. Under queries, yeah, no big change. What is this here? Client. I'm not sure if we actually used. Okay, yeah, this is making to our endpoint the call. That is actually the call we will do. But under hooks is most likely kicks off the record transcribing ready. Yeah. Gets the token, use auth, gets the Clerk client, writes the status, transcribes our audio. Just a little sanity check here. Most of this looks really legit to me. On error, we have error handling, we have use query, we have 10-stack query in there. So I think we once again nailed this. Let's try it again. Can I also pause this and then record more? I want to add some more text to this node, and that was just a little pause. Does that work as well? Can I pause this? Yep, and then we actually get this nice little. We also get the timestamp here, but it's only one user. Maybe I could try with a different voice, then we would probably something different. But this is exactly what we get from ElevenLabs right now. And that is pretty good. So I think we're able to commit this. We could do a magic commit message, which is, well, this time not longer than our commit because we actually changed a bunch of files. But maybe I could have written that myself. But I will commit it just like this. So if you encounter problems after the initial implementation, and by the way, I think the spec here, it wasn't perfect. I think we could have nailed that better to directly instruct AI to use the SDK, maybe even the Vercel AI SDK if you wanted to. Or you could also incorporate the Expo middleware to get authentication with Clerk directly working in a different way. But beyond that, I think we're done when we can record and the transcript appears in the node. We can't try it like mid-fly error. It is just too fast to test this, honestly. But I'm really happy that I can actually record this here in the simulator. So again, if you're still watching, use the link below this video to ElevenLabs. You can get started completely for free and they will know that you came from this video. So go check it out and definitely check out the other stuff as well. If anything of that is helpful to you or inspires you to build an app. Honestly, that is how I got started with ElevenLabs. I just checked it out and I saw everything that's possible, like voice cloning, and then I want to make my own voice cloning app and yada, 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 I had an app. So go check it out, implement it, and once you got the recording in place, we can head over to stage 6. Okay, so we got our transcription from ElevenLabs. We can clearly see it here. So that means we're ready for stage 6, which is an AI summary and task extraction. Basically, we want to take the text object that we get back and send that to actually any kind of AI should be fine to do this. I'll do this with OpenAI, but you can also use anything else you prefer. Let's see. The goal in our spec is currently the moment the app stops being a tape recorder. Yeah, nice. That sounds cool. And the OpenAI key never leaves the server. That's important. What we're doing here now is finally add the Vercel AI SDK in combination with OpenAI and Zod for our schema. So that means AI will set up a schema here, but both the API routes on the server. We're going to have a new summaries API. Once again, Clerk Bira token using, it's in a different folder, but you're going to find it probably. Generate object with GPT whatever. Returns the validated object as JSON, streaming, and client summarize. Tiny fetch wrapper that posts to API summary, attaches Clerk token. Okay, yep. And this is done when the recording auto produces a clean title, 3 bullets, and a checked off able task list within 10 seconds. Okay, that sounds good to me. So let's say, what is this? Stage 6, right? Yeah, okay. Implement stage 6 of the spec. If you are using OpenAI, you can extend your env file here with the OpenAI API key. If you prefer to use Google, Gemini, Anthropic, anything else, you might have to create a separate key here for that. But I will use my OpenAI testing key here for this project. Okay, let's hit save, and you can just easily go to OpenAI, and then down here you're gonna find your API keys. Just create a new one or click up here to create an API key. May spending, well, still in control, huh? And honestly, about OpenAI, there's not much we have to do, especially since we're not really using the OpenAI SDK, so we're not doing it like this, as we instructed AI to use the AI SDK, the OpenAI. It says Vercel OpenAI SDK. Let's see. Can we just go here? OpenAI provider. So here are all the commands, and then it eventually will use OpenAI straight from the AI SDK. I create this, and then we can use any kind of model with it. For example, here is generate text model prompt. I'm actually excited to see how AI is going to implement this, since we need sort of a structured output, right? We want, based on that text, to have different tasks. So when we check out our dummy task from the beginning, we had 3 bullet points summary, we had a title, we had text, and we had potential tasks that we can check off. So all of this should be generated based on our transcript that we get from ElevenLabs. It's going to be exciting, and I'm pretty sure the task list here, did we already have the task list? No. Claude is still going through all the general setup and checking out what needs to be done. So I assume this will take a couple of minutes. So grab a nice cup of coffee, and then let's come back when it's done. Alright, I made a little mistake. Of course, this is stage 6 we're implementing, not stage 5. I guess you recognized that, but AI still now made it. I only made one wrong implementation. I reverted all of that, but we might come back to that in the future. So, edit the SDK. We have a node summary. We have the API endpoint to summarize our okay, we're gonna look at that. This is using Zod. It is using AI SDK. We're using our auth middleware again. All of that looks good. We have the call options here for OpenAI, and we call generate text. Yep, all of that looks good on the first side here. Actually, don't want to go too much here into the details. Let's just give it a try. Tomorrow I'm recording the last chapters. I still need to do the intro and the RevenueCat part and Sentry as well, and have a nice finish for this, and then I should also enjoy the weather. Okay, so this is now transcribing. I don't know if we also get a state for summarizing. No, we're not, but we're seeing pulling out the details, and we fail. That's actually good. Why is it good? Well, because we can then check our dev tools once in a while. Press J in there. I like to use them a bit more. And let's try retry. Okay, this instantly fails. Network is unavailable. Okay, thank you for that. We also don't see any logs. So why is my network failing? That's a good question. You recommend transferring auto files, streaming. Okay. Summary failed 500. 500 server issue, huh? Summary does not work. I only see summary failed 500. Check the code and maybe add some logs. I usually like to tell AI when something is like entirely not working and I have no idea where it's going wrong, to just give me or put in some logs, because that's what I usually do as well. I go into the summarize API and I would put in here post was called, auth is okay, sending out body. And it's just tedious, and AI can do exactly that. It's usually like putting even in some timestamps or anything that's helpful. Let's check if we made any mistakes. So in our env, we do have an OpenAI API key. I also think that one should work. I can regenerate one, but I don't think that it is a problem. The bigger problem I actually see is that we're not really getting any Yeah, here was something about a JSX tag, but that was from before. The bigger issue I see is that we're not really like seeing any logs from the summaries API endpoint. I think it was called here, but it like finishes almost instantly. And that usually gives me a feeling that something is entirely off. 500 is leaking from outside our try catch or from the missing keychain. Let me restructure with broader. Let me surface. Okay. Did you not implement that correct, AI? But we didn't see any log here. Let's give it a minute again. Alright, it was just reloading my application. I killed the server and restarted. AI also added some helpful logs. So that guided me and showed me that the key was missing. And now we see I already pressed this, but let's do this again. This is a recording for my task tomorrow. I want to finish the video about the AI voice notes app, including RevenueCat, Sentry, ElevenLabs, Clerk, and everything else. I still need to edit the video, record a bit, and then I also want to enjoy the sunshine. Okay, we're here transcribing. So ElevenLabs is going on. After transcribing, we're getting the summary, and here we go. Finish the video, edit the video, plan to enjoy the sunshine. Important task, finish the video, edit the video, record additional content. Oh, you're going great, interesting there. And here we also got the full transcript. And my friends, isn't that amazing? Let's just take a minute to witness that we've pretty much built all of this vibe coded, if you want to give it a negative feeling. But I would more call it that we used agentic coding with a clear structure, plan, and our guidance to build this app exactly based on the vision that we have. And I'm even speaking German here, that we have. No, but anyway, what I just feel when you show is that this is not like the initial days of vibe coding anymore. Well, really, this is honestly my reality and how I build out my game and the other apps I'm working on. This is agentic coding. You're using MCPs, you're using skills, you're using a detailed plan. You go step by step. You review what AI is doing in, well, not the most detailed way probably, but still checking like in general the sanity of the changes that AI introduces here. But most of this looks honestly better than the code that I write and that I've seen in many other projects. So I'm absolutely cool with that. And we're just doing this for maybe like 2 hours at this point, and we have built a solid application that just with a bit more, you could take this to the App Store. And there were many apps just like this that were super successful over the last years. And we're not entirely done. We have now implemented the core functionality, which is recording a voice note, getting a transcription, and then also using AI in a useful way to extract some data. But there are two very important things that we should still add to this. And the first one is making actually money from your app. If you want to make money with your application, you can either make it paid, or what's usually more recommended and up to date is using in-app purchases. And if you're using React Native, Expo, honestly, there's no better service than RevenueCat. I'm using RevenueCat in my own game, Tiny Harvest, and I'm actually happy that I'm finally hitting the tier where I have to pay RevenueCat, because you can start for free and pay nothing up to 2.5k in monthly tracked revenue. Yes, Simon surpassed that with his little game. If you have not created a RevenueCat account yet, use the link below this video. Thanks again, RevenueCat, for making this video possible along with the other sponsors. But I have used RevenueCat in pretty much every application that I've built, so it's quite easy for me to recommend this anyway. Let's see. Let's check out our stage 7 docs. Paywall with RevenueCat. Goal, monetize the feature, configure RevenueCat, products, entitlement, React Native purchases, init with Clerk ID, that makes sense. React Native purchases UI, presented as a modal sheet. Actually don't know. Yeah, well, it looks good. Free tier limits, upgrade to Pro, entry points on the settings and record screen done when I can do this. Yeah, sounds good. Let's just pass this over to Claude. Now let's get the stage right. That was stage 7, right? Okay, Simon wants to implement stage 7. implement stage 7 of at spec. I don't know. Can you let me know in the comments if I still, like, should I reference the spec, or if I had it open last time, it's anyway in here? I don't know. Oh, I actually want to do one more thing up front, and that is RevenueCat has an MCP, and I kind of want to create my project up front and configure it with the MCP, because then Claude will be able to do everything else for us. So once you're in your RevenueCat account, up here to the left, you can just create a new project. I will call this voice notes video. Category, it doesn't really matter too much. I don't know, developer tools, whatever. Platforms, React Native. Hit create project. You don't need to do anything here. Just go to the dashboard for the moment. And under, here we go. This is our API key for testing. We can actually take that one out and already paste it to our env. So probably under iOS key, going there. And then we will also need a secret key. Let's do a new secret key, name, I don't know, secret? And let's use v2. I will give read and write access to customer information, especially here, because this key will be used. So can I show this and copy this? Let me copy this for the moment to a new file. Because here's the implementation of the MCP at the server via the Claude CLI. I think we're gonna do that. So I will just copy that over and make a new Claude window, which is always locked and alone. I don't know why that is the case. So I will just put it in here, and then we'll see what happens. I think edit MCP configuration to your local project. Normally, with codecs, with cursor, normally it needs like a BIRA key or something. I wonder if authentication, right? If I know /MCP, oh, maybe we need to do like a new Claude window and then do /MCP. Yeah, then it shows RevenueCat up here. So that's what I wanted to show you. Now it says needs auth. I can now authenticate here. It opens up. Claude Code is requesting. Yeah, let's go. Okay, I don't know if I regret this. I should have probably limited this to one app. But anyway, we now got all the skills here. That's good. So let's hope. Honestly, I don't want to do it like that. I want to limit this because I have live production apps and I don't want to mess them up. Let's do the selected project, which is the voice notes video. Okay, this is the one I will give it access to. That's enough for us. Okay, we're connected. Fine. Now let's do another new window. Can't we just have it in there? Why is it so hard to just like have it in there? So now we should have, if we go with /MCP, yep, RevenueCat is connected. Now I will take my initial string here and I will say implement stage 7 of spec. If you use the RevenueCat MCP, use my project. Let's pick out the ID. So definitely getting the right one. It's up here. Use my project, we can also use the test store to quickly test out products and later move them to the real iOS Android config. Because by now, RevenueCat always comes with this test store, and I should probably use that test store key actually in my env. Yep, that's the one I already had in there. So then, hopefully through the API with the MCP, it's able Claude to put up the offerings and products, and we don't have to mind much about this. So let's kick this off. The plan is now that we get the full integration of stage 7, which is the paywall with RevenueCat. Pro monthly, pro yearly, entitlement pro. I don't think the MCP is already able to configure a paywall, but we can easily do that in a second. We have the test store key in here. That means we don't need to set up the real store or anything right now. And therefore, the only thing, honestly, we can do is wait until Claude has created our code. Apparently, implementation is done. I have already restarted my app because I know this installed a native module. We should see it here in the package.json. Yep, React Native Purchases and React Native Purchases UI. Also made everything in our project. We're gonna check that out in RevenueCat. We got new code. I think it's time to just check it out. So let's see. We got a default offering, Voice Notes Pro. Voice Notes Pro has an annual and a monthly product. See, this is the cool stuff about MCPs. You know, yeah, of course I can do the new products and I can hook them up, but if I can just let the AI agent do this, there's also no chance there's any messed up wording. I usually mess up any letter and then everything's like gone. We should also have an entitlement pro here. Yeah, okay, yeah, that looks good. I wonder how it's implemented in the app, because I don't think the MCP can actually create a paywall. Yeah, we might have to set up our own paywall. Let's see. If I go into the app here under settings, I can now upgrade to pro. If I press this, RevenueCat paywalls, no paywall configured. Your default offering has no configured paywall. That is actually really smart from RevenueCat to tell us. So let's do it. Let's create a paywall. I'm going to use a template. You can also use AI to create one from scratch, but I will select a template. Wow, they've really they've added some templates here. I don't know. I think we have a monthly and yearly. We should just go with something easy like this one. That looks good. Okay. Name, yeah, paywall. Offering, we select our default offering. Okay. Let's save this. As far as I know, yeah, there are two issues. Yeah, for the footer terms and privacy, they always require a URL. Let's do galaxies.dev. Can I just do it like this? Is that fine? And then the second button like this. Oh, must start with HTTPS. Okay. At least they're telling me. That's smart. So we only have one issue left and 0 issues left. Okay, I guess at this point I could already publish this paywall. Yes, I'm using confirm and publish. And if I now go back to my app, ha! It is here. There we go. This is the paywall we just set up here. I should probably have reloaded the application, but I just wanted to show you that it really works instantly. But no, Simon clicked in every single place here on the screen, so that is definitely on me now. Can we just reload this, my friends? No, we can't. Oh, I messed up the simulator. That's so much fun when you do that. It's just... here we go. Let's go again. In the meantime, what happened? We have a daily usage table. So on recording, we have like a 3-minute cap, which probably, I am probably on the free tier here, so it should reduce some of my seconds from my daily quota. Okay. Okay, it's doing the usual stuff. Okay, where can we see? Okay, use today 8 seconds of 3 minutes. We could probably also show this on recording. Also show the daily free quota on the recording screen when I do a new recording. That will probably be helpful for the user. But again, we can upgrade to Pro. We have our paywall from RevenueCat here. We have the 2 options. I think I actually can't do this in the simulator. Oh yeah, because we have a test store, we can actually test a valid and a failed purchase. Yeah, that's so cool, because normally it doesn't work in the simulator. That's cool. But there's also something else that I just discovered the other day. And now, let's see. So we have the components. Here we go. Here is, oh, we can also have a branding at this point. Media gallery, localization, paywall logic. They have really put a lot of time into that paywall editor. So you can check out my other videos. I've used RevenueCat in different ways. You can use this programmatically, fetch the offerings, entitlements, and show them however you want in your app. The paywall editor just makes it a lot easier to simply say, hey, deploy this paywall, and you can just customize your paywall in here. That is a really smart thing. But recently I discovered that they actually also have this AI editor. So improve the paywall. It is for an AI voice notes and transcribing app. Let's just try if this changes anything in here. I don't know what I changed the last time. I think I just said, hey, apply a different color theme, but honestly, the color theme of the paywall is already pretty spot on, I think. Oh, interesting. They have like internal skills for that agent. So this activated the conversion rate optimization skill. That's cool. That's funny. Edit reassurance text below the CTA. That is cool. That is fun. I guess it could also now hook up different products and like do additional logic. So yeah, I mean, if you've been watching until here, you're probably not against AI and you're okay with the usage. So this is just another step in becoming a bit more dumb probably, but at the same time, it's also using the tools in a smart way and making sure you're getting the most out of these tools. So right now, yes, we can do all of this ourselves, that fine-tuning, but why not use the AI editor? It's in beta, so it's probably not perfect yet. Here we go, improve the paywall. Okay, so let's see if I now upgrade. This is, oh yeah, I still need to publish the changes. Okay, published. This is still the old one, it's probably cached. It's still cached. Let's do a reload here. And then it should come up again. Turn voice notes into polished transcript. Even here, the fake reviews, from voice memos to interview clips, it gives me a nice, yeah. Yeah, get unlimited transcript. Also a nice CTA. So it is almost too easy to implement purchases at this point in your application. Really. So let's exit this. We're right now, again, just in the testing mode. We have this test store configuration. So if you want to go to iOS and Android, you will have to set up your iOS and Android project and add the actual apps under the configuration. So then you would say App Store and you would put in all the bundle ID and select the keys. But again, that has become a lot easier by now as well. So the step from here to there is actually quite easy. And also, once you add that, what you can just do is use again the MCP here and say, hey, transfer my products, my offerings, my entitlements, everything that we've created for the test store here to the actual iOS and Android stores. And then you have transferred all the names. You can't mess up anything, no typo. And your app can just use the other IDs. So just then go into your env, change your Android, iOS key and Android key here to the according iOS and Android keys you get from RevenueCat, and boom, you have basically swapped your whole backbone. Now, one last check. I think we fired off one problem. Let's see. Yeah, here. Free plan 2 left of. That pushes the button a bit too. Well, I will leave it in there for now because it's actually quite cool. But now our app is essentially functional. I can now upgrade to Pro. Let's get unlimited transcript. Let's test a valid purchase. And we are now a Pro. That also means I don't see this anymore. No more limits. And here my app also says I'm a Pro. We should now also see this under customers. Maybe in the sandbox. Not entirely sure if this will show up here somewhere. Yeah, we have one active customer actually. It's sometimes a bit challenging to find that in, yeah, let's change to sandbox data. Here we go. That's better. Now I can see my revenue. How can I go to like that one user? That always bugs me. Under sandbox, normally this should be the place where I expect the sandbox customer to show up. But we've clearly seen that I do have a user. We have now $3 a month. Oh, here it is. I don't know why it's not in that other page, but user has a pro subscription, renews in 1 hour. That is because in the simulator, the times are a lot shorter. Voice notes, video, cool. And also we can see that the user ID was added here. So this user now has the ID that came from Clerk. So you can really make a connection between your user and the Clerk user in case something goes wrong or you need to do something wasn't applied to the user. Okay, that was almost too good to be true. So let's commit this. Yeah, we have like a daily usage table, but that's fine. And beyond that, nothing really critical. I think everything in terms of the paywalls here, the changes seem to work correctly, a bit to our layout, but otherwise I trust this. So add RevenueCat paywall. And with that, our voice notes app has come one step closer to being finished. But there's still a bit more that I absolutely recommend you should do. If you're building any kind of serious applications, you definitely want error monitoring so you can catch stuff that happens in production. Because even if you use AI and review and do all your best, there will be bugs in your code. So now we will use Sentry for observability with our application. Sentry is also the last sponsor of this video. So we want production grade error and performance reporting, because you don't only get like the error reporting, you can use spans and you can use so much more from Sentry at this point that it really is more than just error monitoring. We have a spec here. So Sentry React Native with the Expo plugin, source main loaded, Sentry node, set user from Clerk, wrap the navigator with Sentry. Yeah, that sounds good. We want it actually on the client and server side. For the server side, I also found something really interesting about Sentry lately. They also have monitoring for AI agents. So I will put this in here as well. Also an AI agent monitoring as described here. Okay. From client API route, yeah, that would be a cool thing. So we can see crash button and the dev button, yeah, profiling enabled, done when I can force a crash and it shows up in Sentry. Yeah, that sounds in general pretty good. There are just two things I would like to do. First of all, if you don't have a Sentry account, a link is right in the description. Go sign up and create your account. Thank me later, because Sentry is really the thing. Honestly, the tools I used in this video are exactly the ones I use in my own applications as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend them. So that's why I absolutely love working with Sentry. They have a few new things. So this AI agent monitoring is one thing. This can basically, let's see, learn how to use Sentry. Sentry helps you understand what's going on with your AI agent workflows. We don't really have an agent workflow, but we could still see like LLM calls and tokens used, and that would be quite interesting. But they also have a CLI. I think I already installed the CLI before, but once you do this, you can do, I think, let's see, we can probably close this and do Sentry auth login. Send your environment likely from build tooling, Sentry. Already authenticated, re-authenticate, no. Oh, I need to do an update, Sentry CLI upgrade. Okay, I can do that. I should probably set my project. Can I do this with a CLI or read the documentation? Always good. How do I set this? Commands. Auth CLI dashboard work with Sentry projects. Maybe project? Oh, that is cool. Platform. What are the platform options? Sentry project create. Let's try that one out. Oh, we're deep down into brew upgrade. Let's hope this works. It works fast. I'm always scared to do this, a couple of times I broke my brew packages, and like that was no fun, but I just hope that this one is fine. Also, should we already tell Claude to start? I think we also have an MCP we should add here. So let's do this in a second. Yeah, it failed anyway. Okay, we got npx skills at CLI Sentry Dev, because there are apparently also a couple of skills we can use for using Sentry, and we definitely want that. So same as before, Claude Code, project, symlink, proceed, and you should see in your Git a bunch of things here for the Sentry CLI skills. Okay, great. What was the other command now? We wanted to use Sentry project create voice notes video. Does it work? Platform is required. Yeah. Oh, I have React Native. Organization is required. What is my Sentry project create? Okay, what is my name? What is my organization name? I think I was somewhere signed. I think it might be Galaxies, potentially. Simon, yeah, that's a cool name. But I think I do have, where's organization? I think I have, I think I'm Galaxies. I should be Galaxies. Galaxies or galaxies.dev. Come on. Available. You belong to 2 teams in Galaxies. Specify one with -- team. Available. Okay, at least the reporting here is good. Team Galaxies. Okay, here we go. Voice notes created. Voice notes video. DSN tip use Sentry project view for more details. Yeah, let's use that if you recommend that. So features. Okay. So for everyone, you can now do everything with Sentry through the CLI, and you don't have to use the website anymore. That's cool as well. I mean, that's really cool. But anyway, let's tell Claude to finally implement this. So this is stage 8. Implement stage 8 of our spec, because there's quite a bit of work related to that spec. So what this should be doing is, I don't know if it actually will pull down my Sentry auth token. There's a command to install Sentry, and I'm not sure if AI will run that, but we're gonna check that out. But beyond that, the whole configuration is required to wrap our app here in the layout in the Sentry provider, and as well, if possible, do some spans and some reporting here for our API routes, because Sentry does not only work in your front end, it also works on the server side. Now, by the way, if you're asking, as far as I know, you as a developer can get started completely for free with Sentry. Use the link below this video, maybe even get some credits. I'm not entirely sure. You might be lucky. So give it a try. And if you don't want to use the CLI, you can of course also just go to your Sentry project. I thought I had it open here somewhere. Nope. Okay, let's just go to Sentry. Here's Tiny Harvest, that has some other issues. Let's go to voice notes. Let's do both of them. And there's one thing I also wanted to show you. What are all these issues? Oh, this is still Tiny Harvest. Tiny Harvest being active. Let's not do Tiny Harvest. Let's just do my voice notes. They are more interesting right now. And they also don't have any unresolved errors. That feels better. Okay. Implementation is going on. Let's wait until we have some code, and then we can keep talking about Sentry. Looks like the implementation is finished. Stage 8 is complete. We have everything that we need. We have client telemetry, we have server telemetry, we have client wiring, we have server, we have debug routes, to env added Sentry DSN. So that's what I just manually added here. In my env file, I added the expo public Sentry DSN entry, because you can actually get this with the Sentry CLI. So Sentry project, what was it? Sentry project. Oh, come on. I just did this in the other view. This is like up here, Sentry project view, and then view my project, and then it printed out my DSN. I just took it from there. So once again, the CLI for the win. Now let's do a little crash to the client, and I will also do a crash to the server. I don't know if there's no, yeah, okay, here we go. I can definitely see a crash here, and a client as well. If we now go back to our application, to the voice nodes dev, no, not voice nodes dev, but actually voice nodes video. Yep, then we see, okay, we have crash client here. So we got the full information. If you haven't seen Sentry before, all of this might look a bit like too much. But if you actually debug your application, you will be very thankful for every single piece of information that you can find, from a stack trace to everything the user touched before to included a session replay. I don't know. It looks like we have session replay disabled right now, but that's not a big thing. To here, our manual server crashed, right, pointing exactly to this endpoint. Wow, this is the cool stuff. Like, it points exactly to the line where your code crashes. And if you have hundreds of users, your app will crash in very different places on very different devices and for no apparent reason. And this just makes it all a lot better. Now, one more thing I wanted to show you, and I will show you this on the example that I did before. So this is the voice nodes app I did before. And you can connect your or every Sentry project to your GitHub project. Then you get like the source maps and stuff. And then what you can use is Sentry CR to auto fix issues. And I did this here on like a very simple, it crashed on something with too lower case. So I then opened up here the CR auto fix. This will make an analysis of what went wrong, why your app crashed, probably. It will then also recommend changes to make in your code, as well as draft a PR. So here in my testing repository is the PR from the Sentry bot. This PR addresses a type error cannot read property to lowercase of undefined, and we see that Sentry CR actually changed some code and made this PR. This is an absolutely killer feature that I've used a couple of times for my own game, Tiny Harvest. You can then just, you can also combine this, for example, then with CodeRabbit for like an AI code check and finally merge it into your code. But simply seeing the list and then letting CR do its magic feels so good, honestly. Is this, where are my new ones? We got both, right? Is this the one? No, where's my from just a minute ago? It's here, right? I could probably do it in here as well. It just won't make up sense. And I also have to set up CR for this project. So I would have to add my project. This would be, yeah, voice notes. I don't see the repo. So you would add your repository here, connect it accordingly, and then use CR to start the analysis. But you can also, at this point, I just learned this, ask CR more questions. Now my head is covering this bit, but like, what are my slowest database queries? You can actually do almost like analytics with CR here. And in your dashboards, let's see if I'm able to find my, no, I want to go to monitors, error monitor. No, this is my error monitor. I actually want to get to my AI monitor, but I don't see that one. Maybe it's in my, where am I? I'm in voice nodes dev right now. Okay. Maybe it's set up under voice nodes video. So there's, I mean, in our, what I wanted to show you before was the AI agent usage here with the monitoring. However, there's not that much we can do about that, but actually we can try. Let's try to record something, because that will hit the ElevenLabs endpoint as well as the OpenAI transcription endpoint, and therefore we might have an entry for an AI agent monitoring. So we're transcribing our voice notes. It is still as fast as before, and hopefully all the changes we didn't break our project so far. That would be not the coolest thing. Maybe my voice was a bit longer now, but in the same time, we should be able, I have too many tabs open here, definitely. But we've seen our crash. We have seen the CR fix. What's going on here now? Is this related to me or is this something else here? Can I read properties undefined? No, this is the dummy crash we did before. Why is why is this not? I will just regenerate my transcription here. Okay, you have a problem with the server, huh? Yeah, so we messed up something here. Summarize. Actually, that's good because that means we're getting some real issues here now. So Sentry will probably catch this. Native is disabled. Where did this happen? Well, that's a weird one. Native is disabled. I haven't seen that one before. But it looks like my API routes are not working. I'm gonna put this in here. It looks like my previous API endpoints are not working anymore. Error I see is, so we had a quite big change. If you look at the changes here, we had something to our env. Okay, that's Sentry project voice nodes. Did we just call the project voice nodes? I think we called it voice nodes video, right? I'm not so sure about that change. We have the Sentry node and the Sentry React Native package. That is cool. We have the wrapper here with init client telemetry, integration, profiling. We have profile sample rate. Yep, that is cool. I will probably extend this to also have the session replay included, but for the moment we can leave it as is. We have a nice function to actually set the Sentry user. That is always helpful to have information about the actual user attached to an issue, so I highly recommend that. And with client span, simply it's like doing a little timestamp before something with a span, so you can track what in your application is taking longer than it should. We also have the implementation here for the server telemetry. It's pretty much doing the same server auth, but honestly, something in there could potentially break. So I'm curious to see if AI is able to figure that one out. Let's commit this for the moment. Sentry integration. I don't like to commit broken code, but in general, the app still works, and I would like to see what else this now changes, because there's clearly an issue here, and I really want to see error launching cannot. Okay, we're completely messed up here, I think. Maybe it's not even Sentry. Maybe I should just, like, whenever something was wrong in the past, I did a clean pre-build, and it worked instantly again. I wonder if I should do something similar right now, but I feel like Bunix Expo should be fine in this case. So if I just reload here, can I then get into this one? So debugging with AI is actually the most fun because it can sometimes work really well and sometimes like not at all. Okay, yeah, we're getting an issue again with Sentry. I'm pretty sure we're once again using something in our client bundle. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's the one I said. Maybe it's what I just said. Maybe we need to do a new pre-build. Maybe that's just what we had to do. So I will do a new pre-build and run the application, and meanwhile wait if Claude is able to figure something out. But potentially it is just a pre-build issue because the so the message here was already something about pods not initialized, but also it can always happen that something from the server-side bundle spills over into the front-end code in the client bundle, and therefore we have some issues. So AI will definitely be able to figure that out, and I will do a new pre-build. All right, Claude slightly changed our implementation. We have for the moment removed the telemetry from the server because the Metros dev server can't host Sentry node because of whatever. When you deploy the API routes to, for example, EAS hosting, swap the stub for the real, and this will work again. So everything is in place. We just basically disabling this locally. But that means we have essentially also finished our last stage here. We now have all the recording, the monitoring here in place for our voice notes video. We've checked out the new CLI. We've seen Seer in action. The AI agent monitoring is something I would like to see, but I think it's just not working great for our example. But maybe you can just ask Sia to create yourself a dashboard, because that is apparently what I learned, what you can also do with Sia. So maybe we're going to see some more product analytics here in Sentry over the next time, but simply having error monitoring in your application like this, setting up maybe critical alerts for yourself so you see something is going on and breaking in your application, is so absolutely crucial for any kind of real application that you definitely want to use it. Again, link to Sentry is in the description. Go check it out, and you can also find the implementation in our repository. And with that, I'm kind of sad because I really enjoyed building out this application, but I think we have achieved something really big with our voice notes app. We can record voice notes, they're transcribed. We have a state machine for retrying and regenerating, deleting notes, SQL implementation. Like, you can probably take 2 or 3 more hours, and then you have an absolutely killer application that you can take to the app stores, and hopefully you'll make some money with it. Alright, and that's it for our AI voice notes clone. Kinda, because there are like tons of these applications out there, but you could still build your own version and make it better, because there just don't have to be just one application for a topic. There are like hundreds of to-do applications, and all of them are making money. So go out and finish this application, because you have a super solid foundation. Check out the links below. Thanks again to our sponsors. Thanks to ElevenLabs. It's really the best in class if you do anything with voice agents. If you want a voice clone, anything like that, use ElevenLabs. Really, my absolute recommendation. Same for Clerk. If you want serious user authentication and user management, and also now get native components in React Native, check out Clerk. RevenueCat is just the best for any kind of subscriptions or in-app purchases, and I'm happy that Tiny Harvest finally made the cut and I'm paying actually RevenueCat. You know, it's like never happens that you're happy to pay someone, but that means I made a lot with my game. So that is the one. And Sentry, of course you need error monitoring for your application. All my apps have it, and if you don't have it, you never know when and why your application breaks in production, plus all the additional benefits they're currently packing into this, like session replays, the CLI, the spans you can use to get the performance of your application, and I think there is actually more to come to Sentry in the future. Speaking of that, there's also more to come to this channel, so make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button so you don't miss the next video, right? Make sure you're subscribed. I will catch you in the next video. If you want to see the code, again, link is also below this video to the GitHub repository. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see. If you enjoyed this slightly different way of building an application, for me, this is simply my new reality. Let me know if you also work like this and approach it like that. And I'm happy to create more deep dive videos where we build actually great projects with React Native and Expo using an agentic coding workflow. I'm happy. I'm Simon. I'm glad I could make it with you, and I'll be here next time. So until then, happy coding, Simon.